All right, welcome to the EndZone YouTube. Let's move the chains. Let me know if you can hear me down below. We'll go ahead and get started. I see a lot of interesting questions here, and I'm really excited to start off because we've had so much happen this week. And there's some questions that actually kind of give you preview to some of the content and live shows that we're going to be getting coming up because while it seems like it's the spring football off season, we're going to be getting more news than you think and more coverage than you think. And I'll let you in on a little bit more of that and see y'all's opinions. Actually, I'm going to tell you some of the content ideas that I have, see if y'all like it. So our first question comes from Donzi Sports Entertainment. Team names, I assume you're talking about the XFL. We should be getting those by the end of August. That's what I've heard. And hopefully that is true, that we get the team names. We got the tees of the colors, and I did a video on that if you haven't seen it already. It pretty much looks like the original teams that are returning to the XFL are probably going to have their same color schemes, maybe a little bit updated, same logos, again, a little bit updated, but definitely the same names. We heard early on that the DC Defenders would not be returning in terms of name, but we will have to see on that one. I definitely think it would be a misstep if the XFL rebranded totally, especially for the St. Louis Battlehawks. I think that you would make a lot of fans angry in St. Louis if something like that happened. Who are the players going to pick and who are the fans going to pick? So I assume you're referencing the XFL and the USFL. And honestly, you got to still take into account Canadian football as well. And I think that the players are going to pick, there's not one definitive answer because every player is in a different situation. You know, a player might go to a certain league because of a certain head coach. They might already have a relationship, and that head coach might want some of his guys to be in that league or be on his team. Kind of like in the USFL, we saw a lot of guys go to coaches who were coached by them maybe in college. So I think it's different in every single situation for every single player. Now, in terms of money and benefits, yes, the XFL is paying more currently. We still have to see what the USFL is going to do to kind of switch that up. But again, it's different in every sense. And then I made a video on it today about how the USFL is also an advantage which recruiters to their league because they have basically assurance for the players that they're going to finish the season. They've already finished season one. They've put out almost 30 players, I think is the count now, into the NFL. So, you know, it's not always about the money, but for some people, it may be about the money. It's different for everyone. For how bad Michigan and Pittsburgh were, they should played hard. So I think you're saying they played hard, but they were short of talent for winning. Only if an NFL veteran would come into the USFL and play for the minimum and be a superstar. So yeah, you know, Michigan and Pittsburgh, I think with Pittsburgh, it was more coaching. With Michigan, it was quarterback play with Shea Patterson because I thought that they ran the ball really well and their defense played well at times, but also at times there's really nothing to play for because they struggled so tremendously on offense. And I think that Michigan coming back with a different quarterback, if Paxton Lynch, I mean, what we saw from him, the limited reps, of course, he was injured, unfortunately, the limited reps for him. Now, the start of the season wasn't as good, but when he came in at the end, he played a little bit better. Maybe a full offseason to train, to work, and to really get a better feel of the Michigan Panthers, assuming that the same coaching staff will return. I think that Michigan could be in a better spot. With Pittsburgh, I'm assuming that Kirby Wilson's not going to return. So we will see with Pittsburgh, and they pretty much are losing their best playmakers. I mean, Bailey Gaither's gone. We'll see the running backs return, hopefully. Carlo Kemp will be gone. And then, at quarterback, they had a revolving door. So I don't really know what to expect from Pittsburgh, but Michigan is not a horrible team. They just, I think a lot of the quarterback execution with Shea Patterson, we can go all in and talk about what Shea Patterson does, him trying to escape the pocket. He reminds me a lot of watching Notre Dame a lot. I watch Ian Book a ton. Somebody who doesn't necessarily go through the progressions, loves to roll out and use his legs, and kind of seems best off platform. I just don't think that works when you get out of college. And it honestly didn't work a lot in college. Talk about your XFL player scout list. So this is also the Alliance of American Football, the USFL player scout list. So these upcoming weeks, we are getting preseason football, which I'm going to try and watch all the preseason football games I can. If I can't watch some of the local ones, I'll definitely be looking at the highlights. But every week I'm going to make videos and content on like the 5 best players I saw and the 5 standout guys on these preseason rosters, because a lot of them are going to get cut, and we're going to keep up with the cut and the count list and circle some guys we're going to talk about a lot, because there are going to be a lot of players available for the United States Football League and the XFL, and the recruiting season starts here. The XFL actually is bringing scouts to these camps and bringing scouts to preseason games. Not something very uncommon. When I worked for the Kansas City Chiefs, the CFL sent scouts, and I thought that was really, really cool seeing guys from Canada come to scout out a lot of their players. So that will be interesting to see how these 2 leagues are scouting out the players. Really 3, if you include the United States Football League, which I assume they're scouting players in the NFL preseason. Great question here from Matthew Hawkins. Do you potentially see a merger between the XFL and the USFL somewhere down the line? So I don't know necessarily that we would see a merger. But in my opinion, I would love to see a merger. One, because we would go from 8 teams in each league to 16 teams. And I think you cover a lot of different markets, and you really get a nice grasp and large fan bases behind the league. Now, there's obviously a lot. If you merge, what would the name of the league be? Would it be the XFL, the USFL, or would they come up with a totally different name? Would they keep the branding for a lot of the teams? There would be a lot to go through, and it would be very difficult. I'd love to see it. I don't know if it's realistic, especially when you have Fox and ESPN on both sides of the fence of that. Then you have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Redbird Capital, and Danny Garcia, who aren't going to want to give up everything with the XFL, the passion that they put behind it, the branding. And honestly, I'm not sure the people with the USFL are really going to want to change much about their league, because they probably view the XFL as an unproven product where they have been successful and the XFL just hasn't, because they haven't, this new iteration at least, hasn't had the opportunity. Wanted to talk about this. The beloved Birmingham Stallions are already USFL champions. My life is complete now. Well, got to go for another championship in Alabama sports manner. I think that the Alabama Crimson Tide didn't stop at 1. They're at what, 18 now? It's getting ridiculous. So, keep pushing, keep going. Go for number 2. Here's an MLFB related comment. No, I will comment on Major League Football. Rest in peace, Major League Football. I'll just keep dreaming for Arkansas to get a professional team in the XFL or even the USFL or any other major sports league. Do I see it happening? No, but a guy can dream, right? Yeah, I just... I'll first talk about Arkansas. I just don't know if it's a big enough market for a league like the USFL or XFL, which is quite unfortunate. You're welcome to adopt a team from both leagues, so you have teams to watch. Maybe find Arkansas players who are in both leagues. And then with the MLFB situation, it's so unfortunate that all these players were stranded. And really, with the MLFB, how do you not have enough funding? How do you get to this point, get the cleats on the grass, which is what they were marketing, and just not have the money to pay for hotel rooms and other things? It's just, it's honestly kind of ridiculous, and I'm very disappointed. I had multiple conversations with the CEO, Frank Murtha, and yes, I understand that they were small scale, but the idea of being that publicly traded league is a really cool, unique idea that nobody else really has. Unfortunately, wasn't executed like many spring football leagues in the past. And what happens to those leagues? Well, they end up folding, and that looks like it's going to be the direction for Major League Football. Unfortunate, yes. Did a lot of people see it coming? That's also an unfortunate yes. But as they got closer and closer, it seemed like they were really going to get a season. All right, looking for some more comments and questions. Yeah, I apologize for the echo. I'm in a different location today, and I'll try and speak a little bit quieter. All right, I believe in the future the USFL is going to sell to the XFL. No, that's also an option. Maybe a league wants to sell out, just take the money and be done with it. That's interesting. I did not think about that. Yeah, and to me, talking about XFL cities, and I'm preparing some videos this week to talk about the XFL cities in depth, but I really think they should have had a team in San Diego. I'm not too familiar with Oakland, but I feel like Oakland would embrace them with open arms. And then, the Las Vegas. I see two sides to Las Vegas. I don't want to give too much away from the video, but there's a recent interview on the Markcast. He's got a great YouTube channel, and he interviewed Mike Mitchell from XFL Newsroom, and he talked about the XFL being in Vegas, and he's talked about a lot of the pluses, which I've been critical of Vegas a couple times, and I guess I didn't consider some of the good things that could bring a team into Vegas. And they still don't have that stadium contract. I assume it's going to be in Allegiant Stadium, but we will have to find out on that. Yeah, I don't see a San Antonio USFL team just because San Antonio already has that XFL team. Now, this is a good idea for the USFL, maybe to pick up where the XFL did not capitalize. An Oakland squad, the Oakland Invaders. People expect the United States Football League to expand after 2023 or the 2024 season. I think that possibly that could be a good option. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Going back to the Pittsburgh Maulers, they had talent. I think it was the coaching. It was definitely the coaching. It was awful coaching. Schematically, the coaching was poor, and then just from the state, from afar, the coaching was poor. The way Kirby Wilson managed his players, it just did not feel like a great place. I'm excited to see Madre London, by the way. And I think that Pittsburgh could be good. Again, they're going to be losing some of their good guys to the NFL. We'll see if they make rosters or not. If not, they'll come back. Vadley got the tryout recently with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is awesome to see. So, again, a lot of this is based on the NFL and if these players make it. Now, there's a viral video right now of Bailey Gaither cooking, again, a safety, but one-on-one in a practice Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, the first rounder. But, still good to see Bailey Gaither. At least he's doing well. Got 64, another Major League Football comment. I really don't know how to feel about MLFB. I felt like they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, it did feel like that, especially on the social media platforms. Their social media was, I'm going to be frank, it was pretty bad. Looking at their Twitter, and I don't even know if they had Instagram, but it wasn't good. Would the Vegas ballpark be an option for the Vegas team? It has like 10,000 seats and is practice for the Pro Bowl. Okay, one second. I'm going to look this up on the internet, see how many seats it has, because 10,000 doesn't seem like enough, but I've honestly never heard of the Vegas ballpark. So I'm on the internet right now. Yeah, capacity. So their record attendance there is 12,111 with a capacity of 10,000. See, I just don't know if that's enough seats, but they can always add seats. But see, I don't know if that's worth it for the XFL. I just don't know. And is Sam Boyd Stadium still there? Whitney, Nevada. That, I believe, is where the original XFL team played. And I believe some colleges play out of there, like UNLV. It would be all right, I guess, in Sam Boyd Stadium. But I think with Allegiant, like, they're going to want to go with Allegiant, but Allegiant will look so bad on TV because it's not like they're going to sell out Allegiant Stadium. That would be pretty crazy if they were able to do that. So I assume that it's going to be... Oh, wow. So the Canadian Football League, here's a fun fact. I'm just on Wikipedia. The Canadian Football League actually played in Sam Boyd Stadium. If anyone can comment the name of that team, that would be incredible. So, yeah, the XFL in 2001 had a team, and then the United Football League had a team there as well. And the UFL played in 2009 the championship game versus the Florida Tuskers. Interesting. So that could be an option to play at. The Spring League hosted games in 2020 at this stadium. Interesting stuff. Well, so that's another option at the stadium. I want to hear y'all's opinions. Would you rather have Sam Boyd, a smaller, more college feel stadium, or would you rather see all-out XFL Allegiant Stadium? Because that would be a lot, and it might not look good on TV. You run the risk of it looking really, really bad. Appreciate it. UN Educated Sports Talk. The USXFL. There we go. There's a problem solver right there. Here's a good question. Does the NFL own the European League of Football? I see they use some logos from the old WLAF/NFL Europe, and are the USFL and XFL scouting these players? Well, I can answer a couple of these questions. So first, the NFL does not own the European League of Football. The European League of Football, what it looks like, and again, I'm not an expert on the ELF, so someone can correct me, but it looks like a lot of independently owned football clubs coming together in sort of a union, almost kind of like arena football where teams can come and go. And that's what it feels like. So I think those teams, those clubs have the rights to the logos and stuff from the old NFL Europe and WLAF. And a good question, are the USFL and XFL scouting these players? Well, Kayvonte Turpin is probably one of, if not the best players in the USFL, or was. Now he's in the National Football League with the Dallas Cowboys. He actually played with, I believe, the Panthers in the ELF. He also played in fan-controlled football. So, yeah, they're definitely – I don't know if they're actively scouting, but they have players coming from that league. So, Michael, I think here's a really good comment about the XFL and not having the venue decided. I think that they have the venue decided. They just don't have all of the criteria for the venue delegated between the venue and the XFL. So when you look at these contracts, there are a lot of different specifics that have to happen. For example, who's going to pay for the vendors? How is the money going to be divided up? Who's going to get all the ticket revenue or some of the ticket revenue? How are ads and how are people going to do sponsorships? Who's going to sell the tickets? A lot of things like that. There's a lot that goes into it. I believe they have the stadium. I just think that they're working out all the details and they haven't signed the dotted lines yet. Now, I agree with you on picking Las Vegas, and, it doesn't look good that the stadium deal is not done yet. But I believe that they have the stadium ready and everything. It's just like they got to sign the dotted line. They got to get all of those in place. I could be wrong. That's pretty much pure speculation, but I don't think that they're, not on to or close to a stadium, because if they weren't, then they probably wouldn't have released all the cities. That's just my opinion, though. Yes, the St. Louis Battlehawks will return. I've heard a couple of things about that from people in the know, and I don't think that they're changing the name. So if you're a Battlehawks fan, congrats. It's good news. I would like to see 4 hubs. Hey, Gregory, how you doing? Saw you at a couple United States Football League games. Couple, more than a couple, a lot. So great comment here. I'd like to see 4 hubs next year. I think I would too. I think that's what a lot of people want to see. Birmingham, Tampa, and Birmingham, New Orleans, and Houston, and New Orleans, Michigan, and Pittsburgh, and Detroit, and Philly, and New Jersey, or Philadelphia, and New Jersey, and Philly. So let me read through it. So it's interesting with Houston, the Spring League and Brian Woods have a relationship with people in Houston because they've had the Spring League at Rice's Stadium in Houston, Texas, and a pretty nice part of town as well. So a lot of people think that Houston could be hosting. As for the North, I agree with you on Philly, because Philly earned it. I think that they'll probably have a good fan base because they won the North, first of all, and they went to the USFL championship. We'll probably see the return of Case Cookus, unfortunately, because of his injury. Now, you'd love to see him in the NFL, but with that injury, it's unfortunate, but we may not get to see him there. But great comment. I think that is a highly possible that we'd see some cities. We haven't gotten any news about any of the quarterbacks the XFL is, well, okay, I don't want to say that. We know of quarterbacks who've been invited to the XFL draft, and we know of a couple of quarterbacks who've tried out in the XFL showcases. But that's different because the XFL is giving the top 8 quarterbacks, the boosted money structures for their salaries. Sorry, I had a little brain buzz right there. They're going to keep that close to their chest. That's going to be a whole big reveal when the big name quarterbacks are coming out. I'd say the biggest name is probably Derek King. We know that he tried out. And I can check, but I'm pretty sure he received an invite to the XFL draft. Or maybe he could be one of the 8 quarterbacks for one of the teams. I'd have to double check on if he was invited. But Derek King did try out. Cole McDonald, he played for Hawaii. He's a pretty popular name. He also is with the Tennessee Titans. A lot of people wanted to see him in the XFL. All right, looking for... Yeah, I think that, in the USFL, we actually saw some older players. So I would definitely see some older players in the USFL and XFL. We will. We'd love to see Louisville. I thought Louisville would get a team out of the AAF, the XFL, and the USFL. Whenever I made my prediction videos early on, I really thought that Louisville would get a team. It feels like the perfect place for a spring football team. If the MLFB goes for bankruptcy, Fox is going to try to buy all the gear and equipment from them. Might be smart, might save them a little money. I don't know, though, if Fox really wants to. But the XFL 2.0 was trying to buy the Alliance of American Football's equipment, and the MLFB beat them out for it. So we'll see. What happened to St. Louis quarterback Jordan Ta'amu? He is currently with the Tampa Bay Bandits. Would love to see him return. I thought he didn't play as well as some people expected him to. But, another season could be great for him. Yeah, we do have the battle for Houston. Here's our winner, the Vegas Posse. CFL 1994. Hold on, gotta kick some bots out of the chat. Okay, there we go. Okay, here's some good intel. I did not know that. Sam Boyd Stadium is closed. Las Vegas has paid UNLV to keep Sam Boyd Stadium closed, hosting no events. Allegiant Stadium. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much what people have thought, that they are working out the deals and the details. I didn't know that Sam Boyd Stadium is closed, though. Interesting. Yeah, so now basically we'll have football from when preseason football starts in like a week, and then we'll have college football in the NFL, and then right after the NFL, we will have the XFL, and then we will have, I guess, an overlap of the XFL and the USFL, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, and the CFL. So the summer is basically going to be riddled with football, which is going to be awesome. I think a lot of people are going to like that. Brian Scott was injured, so that's going to be exciting to see. Brian Scott versus, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Case Cookus. That'll be the best quarterback battle in the USFL. That will be fun. I think that a football burnout is definitely possible. It is. It's something that I'm going to be interested to see how the viewership responds after a full season of the XFL heading into the USFL. And if the USFL, the real question is, people's number one complaint was fans aren't in the stadium. And the XFL is going to have their fans in the stadium. You know, obviously, not every team is going to be good. There are probably going to be one or two teams that are bad, and not many fans are going to go. But the XFL could make the USFL look bad. The only thing is, how bad would it look? You know, I mean, I really can't answer that question because we thought that the USFL, a lot of people did at least, thought that the numbers would dip. And, you know, they kind of did, but they also did really well without fans. And, you know, they made a lot of money. So that'll be interesting to see. I don't know. All right, it's 7:31, so we'll leave with the I think this is a really good comment. This could be the best running back battle in the United States Football League with the Birmingham Stallions, Bo Scarborough and CJ Marable, assuming that neither of them get into the NFL. I don't think we've had any running backs get signed, but that would be fun. Okay, we have one more question. Do you think the USFL or XFL will get the video game after they launch? I'm doing a video on this soon. I'll have that answered for you. Of course, I hope that we get a video game. It just wouldn't be with EA, maybe with 2K. That would be pushing it. They'd have to really do well. They'd have to, I mean, the XFL and the USFL, they would have to do better than XFL 2.0 was doing before, you know, the world almost ended, basically. But yeah, a lot of great questions, a lot of good stuff, and an active chat today. Thanks for watching the End Zone, guys. Hope you're out there having fun, having a good summer, and let's move the chains. See y'all later.